Oh, life is strange. Double exposure. No. So Life is Strange Double Exposure sales were a large loss for Square Enix. People didn't like it. They messed up the lore, apparently. Apparently, Arcadia Bay and Chloe were around. At the end of the game, you have to make a choice. Either save Chloe and Arcadia Bay is wiped out by the storm, or you let Chloe die and Arcadia Bay is saved. Apparently, in this game, both happened. Apparently, Chloe also breaks up with Max via a note, a letter, which people found extremely disrespectful. And the reason she broke up with Max is because of Max's powers. In case Chloe forgot, she's only alive because of Max's powers. She was supposed to die in the bathroom at school after being shot by Nathan. But instead, Chloe keeps rewinding time, or Max keeps rewinding time. Every time Chloe gets injured to the point of death, she rewinds time. But yeah, she's like, "Oh, I'm sorry. I was hoping to look forward to a future with you where things are, impossible to know, but we can't do that with you, can it? You can we?" Um, Square Enix's latest financial report has revealed that Life is Strange Double Exposure was a large loss for the company, making a sequel look unlikely. When Life is Strange Double Exposure was first revealed at the long-awaited as the long-awaited return of Max Caulfield, it seemed like it'd be a slam dunk for fans of the series. Sure, there were questions about how it would handle the first game's big choice, but bringing back the heroine and that started Life is Strange in the first place seemed to be a surefire bet. Except for the fact that the choice is stupid. Throughout the game, you have to learn that choices have consequences. Every time Max rewinds time, something happens. Every time she saves Chloe, something happens. And at the end of the game, you realize that there's no avoiding certain things. Chloe was meant to die at the beginning of the game, and every time Max rewinded time, it just screwed things up. You know, at first it was like, oh, it's no big deal. And then she's having nosebleeds, and then she's getting dizzy, and having hardly being able to rewind time as it's happening. And the storm, it's this massive storm now because it's like the cosmic balance. It's sending something there to correct things. Of course, people think that the storm was actually Rachel the entire time. Rachel was in the game in spirit in some kind of way. She was the one kind of leading Max to where her body was and stuff like that. But yeah, this is a chick who knows that rewinding time has consequences. Now this girl can tear through time and space itself into alternate realities. Why would you give that power to someone who supposedly learned the lesson the first time? Another Life is Strange looks unlikely, as Square Enix admits Double Exposure was a large loss. As pointed out by Reset Era user Kirby64 and the Crystal Shards. This is a good game. As originally reported by Japanese analyst Hideki Yasuda, Square Enix's president Takashi Kiru just shared the company's recent financial result in a briefing. While most people are focused on the claim that Final Fantasy XVI only sold about 500,000 to 1 million in the last year, there was worse news for Life is Strange fans. According to Yasuda, the financial report confirmed that Life is Strange Double Exposure sales were a large loss for Square Enix, something that only made up for by the Dragon Quest III remaster. Specific numbers for Life is Strange weren't revealed, but it's clear that it didn't sell all too well. Was it Captain Spirit? This doesn't come as much as a surprise, considering the negative reception to the game from long-term Life is Strange fans. But there was clearly some confidence that the game would do decently. During the credits, a message popped up claiming that Max Caulfield will return. She didn't learn her lesson the first time, and she certainly didn't learn it the second time. Maybe she'll learn it the third time. Um, Something that's now less seems a lot less likely. Square Enix sadly wasn't taking questions during the financial report. So the details are a little slim regarding Double Exposure's performance right now. All we know is that the company wasn't happy with the result and considers it a large loss. A label that it's previously used on games like Guardians of the Galaxy and even on even some of the Tomb Raider titles. So here's like one of the things that people were mad about was this. The fact that Chloe broke up with Max through a letter, not even having the balls to say it to her face or call or whatever. She threw in a letter, and people were like, no, no. Hey, Max, I started this in St. Louis, hence the big fucking arch on the postcard, but I'm sending it from Tennessee because it looks like it took that long to figure out what I was going to say. When we were teens, I thought being able to rewind time was the coolest shit in the world. I guess it was for a while. The problem is the more often you go back in time, the less often you're looking forward. I wanted to look forward, to move forward with you, Max, into a future we couldn't predict, and all the messiness that brings. Eventually, I knew, as much as it hurt, uh, that you would never be able to do that. Not with me, at least. I hope you find someone you no longer need to feel the need to rewind for and can look forward, unafraid. Again, does she forget that she's alive because of Max? Now, of course, I'm not saying that Max, what she did was right, because again, she has to learn, she kind of learned that rewinding time has consequences, and that, the more you do it, the more you mess things up, which is why the storm was so bad. That's why they had to make the choice of, do I sacrifice Chloe and save Arcadia Bay? Or do I sacrifice Arcadia Bay to save Chloe again? Which probably would have made things worse in the long run. And then Chloe's kind of like, no, no, Max, this is it. Maybe I'm supposed to die. Um, but the first game was, you know, the whole, of you mess around with time, things go sideways real fast. Um, and you meet a lot of good characters. You like Joyce and Chloe's mom, her step douche, who isn't that bad of a guy. He doesn't like it, but he's really not that bad of a guy. He comes in and saves Chloe when she's in the dark room. So he's not a bad guy. He's just overly protective, which sometimes can be a bad thing, but he does genuinely care. But being a military guy, I can say from experience with someone, a stepdad who was in the military, they're not the most affectionate. They're not the most affectionate. So what they seem as him being a douchebag, or no, they're just not affectionate, you know? And there's nothing wrong with that. Um, but yeah, the first game was, but then this one, it's collectibles are Polaroids from an entirely different reality, and no, it won't be explained. And then I saw one. What was it down here? How does shapeshifting turn into a tear in the fabric of space and time in a massive tornado? The same way her messing with time the first time ended up almost destroying Arcadia Bay due to a giant storm. The universe, the cosmos has got to have a way to even the scales and put everything back in place. It's like, okay, you saved this chick how many times? So now we're going to do a drive-by with this storm, and we're going to take as many lives as we need to level out that balance. So, it's just where is Max's counterpart? So apparently, she's tearing through time and space itself into alternate realities, but then you see alternate realities of everyone except for Max, which people are like, that doesn't make sense. In the comics, Max goes on a similar journey, arriving in an alternate universe without running into herself. Eventually, it's explained that this version of Max most likely died at Jefferson's hands in the dark room. That means, you know, what's his name, David, never came to save her, or he got killed as well. But she died in the dark room. So they're in the junkyard. They find Rachel's body. Chloe gets shot right through the freaking head. Max tries to use her powers to rewind, but it's injected. She starts to go fuzzy, can't use her powers. She passes out, wakes up in the dark room. Jefferson's like, "Oh, the innocence, and oh, it looks so good on camera, and I'm a fucking creep, and everyone should have known I was the villain from the very beginning." Um, but yeah, I would have loved to see something like with Rachel, because people thought that Rachel had powers. Like she showed a few times. There was the moment where she was with her parents and Chloe, and they were in the house eating. And they just, something was brought up, and they started arguing, and they showed two little candles, and like the more she got angry, the more intense the flame on the candle started burning. One of them went from this and just woof. So people were like, "Oh, she's a pyromancer," but no. Then you have something like this. This is a moment where like, "Oh no, it's just the wind." Is it the wind? It's pretty coincidental that every time Rachel screams, the wind picks up. I think they do that very intentionally because it's not like the wind starts, it was already blowing. No, the wind only starts to blow when she screams. But she finds out that the whole reason for this, the whole setup for the scene, she finds out that her dad is basically paying her biological mom to stay away from her. Um, or she sees her dad with a woman, thinking that her dad is cheating on her mom, or his wife, has a secret mistress. But yeah, she's, but her mom is like an ex druggie, and her dad doesn't want her anywhere near Rachel. So, but I think this was after she thought that her dad was cheating on his wife. But yeah, this
Come on.
notice no wind, but then so that's where like she clearly has powers. She's making flames go crazy when she's getting angry at the table. Every time she screams, she's causing a gust of wind. People thought the storm was her. She was able to clearly interact, like the was it the doe or whatever that was showing her around, showing Max around, showing Max where her where Rachel was buried. She clearly had a way of interacting with the world even after being dead. So people are like, maybe when she was alive, she did have powers. She just didn't know it. Um, but yeah, people think that yeah, it's just the wind. It's kind of coincidental and strange that the wind only picks up after she screamed the first time. But you Chloe. Um, yeah. I mean, I'm not surprised that people are mad about it and not really liking it. When you change the lore and you have disrespectful crap like Chloe breaking up with Max in a fucking letter. You know, and it seemed like from the trailers and all that the game was bogged down by the same stuff it usually is bogged down by, the slow dialogue. Uh, you know, they tried to make it sound realistic by adding a lot of swearing, but it just doesn't come off as genuine or natural. It just sounds like voice actresses or voice actors doing it. Like you can do like casual conversation and make it sound natural. Just look at Clerks. You know, like the original Clerks, not Clerks 2, no, Clerks. It sounded natural, but they try to do that in this game or these games, and it's like, you know, they talk so slow and again, picking Max for this rather than someone else. Max Caulfield will return because apparently the first two times she didn't learn that tearing through time and space or manipulating time, she apparently didn't learn that that's a bad thing. But Captain Spirit. What was this anyway?
Ah, the Life is Strange
Oh.
games.
Oh. Ah, the Life is Strange games. Ooh. But yeah, if you played the game, let me know what you think about it. If you liked it. And if you liked it, let me know with some of the things that irked you. You know, I'm sure there's something. And if you didn't like it, what did you like about it? Was it the lore? Was it the fact that there's like, oh yeah, you have to make this huge choice at the end of the first game, but now apparently everyone's saved. Yay! Chloe gets to live. Arcadia Bay gets to live. You know? So. But yeah, let me know all that stuff. Anyway, that's going to do it for me. You guys know the drill. I'll see you guys later. Bye, guys.